Welcome back to the Intentional Queen podcast with your host, Janine, where I come to empower women to be the best versions of themselves on their self-love, self-healing, and growth mindset journey. Hey guys, this is Janine. I am the host and I am also a life coach, and I'm just so excited to have you guys back. It is still January, so we are embracing this new year, new season. I know friends and family who are definitely reaping the harvest of the seeds they sown. And what we say in my church is next. And what that means is it's no hate, it's no competition. What we say is we happy for you out there in the streets. And if that's something that you're looking for in your life, you scream next because you know you want to be next in line, letting God know you're ready to receive when it is your turn. So today, I want to just give a quick recap on what I talked about last episode. And I talked about hidden in plain sight. And I talked about you had to go through it. I had a few other things that I talked about in that episode. I talked about evolve. Okay, that's my word for 2022. And I feel like evolution is something that's happening for me, and I see God doing big things. And so I'm just calling it in and just walking this out and trusting the process. I always tell you guys here at Intentional Queen Journey, you got to trust the process, trust the metamorphosis, know that there's going to be stages to that thing. I also talked about last episode about how to glow up in 2022, and I gave you some tips. One of them being consistency is key in investing in yourself. Make sure that you are investing in yourself, whatever that is. Start that business you want to. Go ahead, read books, get into courses, get that trainer, do whatever it is that you need to become the best versions of yourself. Somebody also asked me about life coaching and about therapy, and I am a fan of both of them. So if that's something that you're thinking about doing, as I said, I'm a life coach and I teach and empower women on these things about their own transformations and walking them from the present into the future and giving them the tools. If that's something that resonates with you, feel free to contact me. All my information is on my website at intentionalqueenjourney.com. So we went through all that, guys, and I just want to thank you for your support. Continue to share with friends as you've been doing. I see you. I see you. Thank you. And also screenshotting on IG, talking about Instagram, and just let me know that this word is getting to you and sharing it. And I just love it. So just continue what you've been doing. That's all I ask from you. The newsletter is up at intentionalqueenjourney.com as well. So I had some new people signing up to the email. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I went back and looked at the downloads, and guys, listen, those numbers actually brought a couple tears to my eyes because, like I said, we are doing this around the world and there are people tuning in and definitely being leveled up. Like I said, iron sharpens iron. And so I couldn't do it without you. And so you pour into me like I'm pouring into you. And that's why we're going to call this what? Capacity to hold. Okay. And purge for the start of 2022. We trying to make room. Okay. Make room, make space, make room. Say it one more time. Make room, make space. Okay. And so that's what I'm going to dig in today. I kept telling you guys in the last couple episodes when I talked about it in Bloom Where You Are that I got to do a capacity episode. People reached out to me, Janine, you got to do a capacity episode. So this is it. So first thing I want to talk about is the capacity to hold. I gave a little talk on the Bloom Where You Are, and I talked about the water bottle analogy. Okay. And what I mean by that is this. You can have a bottle of water, talking about the container, okay? But it may not be filled with water, but it has room to receive and it has room to pour, right? And then let's call the cap another person or another thing that you're pouring into, okay? It is still a container, but it may not be able to hold as much water as the big water bottle or the big water jug, okay? But it's still water in both containers. But the quality and the quantity to hold is different. The ratio is different. So you want to get with somebody that's more water jug to water jug. Okay. What that means is they have the capacity to pour into you and you have the capacity to pour into them, and you can become refilled. If you're constantly refilling or pouring into the cap, you will not be refilled. I did an Instagram story and I put out a definition because I like people like on my Instagram feed that I do these definitions of words. And I did a definition from my point of view of what I think capacity is. And I think it's the ability to pour into others and still be refilled. Okay. You don't want to be in situations where you constantly are pouring and then they hit you with a spritzer. I said last episode, they spritz you like a water bottle. They give you a little something, but it ain't much. You can't do nothing with that. Okay. So that leads me into this one other term because y'all was laughing. Y'all said, Janine, you special out here. And it's called Bob the Buildering. Okay. And Bob the Builder was a children's show, and it talked about we can fix it because Bob can fix everything, right? He come around, he fix things, and he was like a construction worker. And I wanted you guys to understand this. Don't be out there Bob the Buildering. You can't fix everybody. That's not your role. The new thing that they say in the slang in the streets is you mind your business. It's better to just mind your business, stay in your lane, because it is easier when you minding your own business. You ain't in nobody problems. So I don't be out here trying to super save them, and I don't be out here Bob the Builder and no more. That capacity right there, oh, that'll lead you to burnout. So just be careful. Don't take on too many projects out there, okay? And if you are helping people, you serve from a place where you don't endanger yourself. And that's where I talked about with the giraffe, because now I'm going to be serious. I crack jokes, but I mean this in all sincerity. And being a giraffe out there in these streets, the giraffe's neck is high and it bends down, right? But the way that the giraffe is being nourished, or the blood flows up its head, so when it lays its head down, that is when blood flow stops, and therefore it can become stunted, right? It will end up being clouded in judgment. It may not be able to function at its highest capacity because it has dropped its neck down. And that's what I mean by just be mindful. Okay. I'm gonna shout out Miss LaRonda on this hashtag watchful. So we're gonna be more watchful on that. And I just want you to be more cautious about how you're moving. Okay. As you're climbing up the ladder and you're in your glow up, remember, new levels, new devils. Okay. And so keep your grass low and keep your snake line high. I talk about that more in the last episode if you want to go back and listen to how I gave you tips on how to glow up for 2022. So let's jump into purging, okay? So I already talked to you about the capacity to hold and how I want you to stop being out there super save them. I think we also talked about this with my friend LaTorsha in our self-care series, because we talked about how the rescuer can sometimes drown trying to save someone. You have to not be in the enabling spirit and be more in a place of showing people and teaching them how to take care of themselves, and also teaching people how to treat you, because people watch how you allow them to maneuver in your life. And so all you're doing is giving them a learned behavior, because they're going to push you. They're going to try you. Kids try you. Okay. They're pushing boundaries. Let me see what my parent going to allow me to do. They push you. So that's even motherhood, that you just have to be careful not to fall in the trap and then just stop Bob the Buildering. So really, Bob the Buildering is talking about enabling, okay? And let's talk about purging now. I was watching this Steve Harvey video. On there, it's a motivational, like 6 minutes. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. Just a quick caveat on show notes. People said, Janine, I'm on Apple Podcasts. I listen to you there. Janine, I listen to you on YouTube, and I don't get all the show notes. So guys, if you want the full show notes where I put the hyperlinks and all that type of stuff, I know Spotify allows my show notes that I put in to fully show up on my website at Intentional Queen Journey. If you go to the particular episode that you're looking for the show notes, it'll tell you to click the words, okay? That actually is what it says on my website under that episode. And it'll take you to the full show notes of that particular episode. So that way you can see the links for yourself. People wanted to know some of the books I was talking about, some of the videos I was talking about. That's where you go, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts and YouTube and you're tuning in, go there. And that's where you can find everything you need. If you're on Spotify, it is on there. The show notes that I put up will be there. Back to what I was saying, Steve Harvey, he had a motivational video, and this is the part I called about it. He was talking about his mom, and he was talking about when he was younger and he wanted a new car, okay? And what he said was this. His mom said, well, son, you want this new car? You still got that old car out there, brother. You need to go on and take that down. He said, well, I'm trying to be positive. I'm saving money. I'm doing all these things because I'm calling it in. Okay. But his mom spoke in parables, just like I speak in parables with you. And she said, son, you need to get that thing off the old bricks and get on out of here so you can what? Make room. So sometimes you doing all the work, right? Because you want things to come to fruition. But have you really purged and made room for what's to come? Once again, preparation for what's getting ready to happen in these streets. That's why I talk about hidden in plain sight. All this stuff is coming together. When I'm giving you stuff, and how I teach my students is I teach you an onion approach. And the onion approach to me is this layers to this thing. You can't give people the full center. You got to give them layers, and then you add upon it, because it's coming to a particular thing I want you to get, but we got to give it to you in stages and phases, so that way you understand the concept. So once again, I'm giving to you like an onion. So last time we talked about hidden in plain sight and preparation, right? And so the capacity to hold, we talked about that, where bloom where you are, and you teach people how to treat you. And now we're going to get into the Bob the Builder. You stop that, okay? And you also going to purge, because you getting ready to make room, because you making room because you ready to have the capacity to hold it, okay? And you purging so it's ready, and you got something for it. Oh, that's a whole word. Say it one more time for the person in the back. You making room for what's to come, but you got to be prepared. So like Steve Harvey said when his mama came at him, she said, okay, son, I see you working hard getting this coin, but brother, you got that old car back there on the blocks. Get it up out of here, so that way you can make room for the new car. Now that can pertain to anything in life. So you use that how you think. But I'm just saying that's a whole word. And I'll make sure to put that video in the show notes. But that thing resonated with my spirit. I said 2 snaps on that, Steve Harvey. So that means cleaning out your closet. You know how they be like spring cleaning? Well, right now, winter cleaning. I'm out here cleaning closets. I'm cleaning it out, y'all, clearing it out. And then that goes back to, this is like a weird horror movie, but it makes sense. The Purge, right? And so in The Purge, what did they say? Don't be out in the streets after a certain period of time. If you out there playing, they killing people, they doing things. What they was purging the folks out there. So in a way, sometimes you're gonna be purging and letting people go. So that's why I bring that up. Sometimes you're gonna be letting people go. Now that one sting. That hurt a little bit, because sometimes people not ready to let people go. But you got to be ready. Okay. And when it happened, don't be like, woe is me. Nah, remember we talked about the bruised caterpillar. That's victim mentality. Nah, we coming up out of that. And so you got to be okay with letting people go, especially if they are affecting your capacity. Okay. That is for somebody. Be okay with letting people go. Because listen, people gonna always try you sometimes, but some people come into your life for a reason and a season. And I think sometimes people try to take seasoned people and make them lifetime people. Once again, sometimes we try to take seasoned people and make them lifetime people. God might be using them as a lesson in that season, but yet you thought they was forever people. Sit with that for a second. That's going to resonate for somebody. That's a whole word for somebody. And I don't know. Like I said, I pray with y'all before I come up on here to just give you a word. And that one right there, that's for somebody. So sit in that. So for the moms I got listening right now, when we were pregnant, you had the morning sickness. And you know how sometimes you be like, man, I just want to throw up so I can feel better. My stomach just hurt. I remember I used to like the salt and vinegar kettle cooked chips. I used to be on call 24 hours. I've been known to call folks and say, hey, let me get that kettle cooked salt and vinegar. I need a lemonade, and I need I forget if it was the blue bag or the green bag of those winter mints. They had Preggy Pops and all that. That didn't work. When I was in the opera room and they burning flesh and they doing stuff, man, it would tear my nostrils up. But I'd be back out. I'll be in the back in my anesthesia area. It sounds like I'm crunching ice, but I'm crunching those peppermints, man. Listen, I had kept a stash in my pocket, and I think it was the green ones, them peppermints. Man, they got me through nausea. But sometimes I'd be so queasy. I just like, man, I just want to throw up to feel better. So it's the purge. Sometimes when you purge now, you feel so much better. I remember when I took care of pregnant women and we're doing their epidurals, and then they have C-sections and stuff like that. And they be like, man, I threw up, but I feel so much better. And so that is for somebody. When you're purging, when you're letting things go, when you're letting people go, it's that feeling of saying, I feel so much better. When you heal, you feel better, right? And then you become better for you, because I always talk about we level up our intentional queen to a better version of ourselves. So when you heal you, when you love you, when you change your mindset, you just a whole new beast out here turning into that beautiful butterfly that I know you are. When you do that, the toxicity just oozes out of you. That's what you're purging. Oh, that's a word. So we're purging the toxicity so you can heal. You got to get rid of what is not for you. When patients have surgery, most of the time they come in because they got infected organs or something has to get up out of there. Okay. We call that an ectomy. So you have an appendectomy, you have a cholecystectomy. We getting something out of you because you have a hysterectomy. Something in you is not making you feel well. We have to get out so you can heal. We had Miss Cat Branch come to my healing summit because I feel like y'all, when I get it. And I feel like this is a word for somebody too, because I had Cat Branch come and speak at my healing summit, which was my podcast anniversary back in October 2021. And she talked about some surgery she had to have under her armpits and how they had to pack it. But they said she had to heal from the inside out. So sometimes you got to heal from the inside out, which then goes back to the onion way that I teach people when it's layers. So sometimes it takes time, okay? But most of the time when things heal, it heals from the inside out so you can shine beautiful. That's why you hidden in plain sight. That's why you go in the cocoon. That's why you have to be strengthened. That's how you bust out and become free. That's how you let go of bondage and you become unbound because you want to be free. That's a whole word right there for somebody. If you want to hear about the Healing Summit, it blessed many people. Okay. It's about 100 people that have watched that video, and I'm just so blessed and honored. And if that's something that you would want to see the Healing Summit, please join the email list at www.intentionalqueenjourney.com. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can see sign up to the newsletter. And if that's something you would like, sign up to the newsletter and I would be willing to send you that video so you can watch the event. It blessed some people. So that's for somebody. A little testimony about me with my body and my health, right? I did an Instagram story and I told people how I lost 30 pounds. And I talked about how my health with my thyroid and my eyes and this and that. And it turned around because I started to figure out that I was doing superwoman syndrome and I didn't have enough capacity to take care of me and serve others at that level and that speed that I was doing. I had to slow my roll. And so sometimes God just tell you, stop, stand still, and he'll just shut it down. Okay. And you be like in disbelief, like, hold up, player. What you mean? Just stop. I'm in the middle of this, and that. He was like, nah, that's not what you're doing. And so what I did is I got the trainer and I lost the weight. I changed my eating habits and did a little bit better. I started to journal more. I started to meditate more. I got my own self a life coach. Okay. And shout out to my coach because she know who she is and she pops in to check in on me. So listen, she spoke word into me and said, Neen, you got something for somebody. Okay. And I started doing what needs to be done. So whatever that is for you, I want you to do that because that's how you make room. So you ready. Okay. Get ready. When preparation for what is to come, because I don't want this to go too long, Proverbs 3:5 says, don't lean on your own understanding. Okay. I already told you about trusting the process, trusting the metamorphosis. It's stages to this thing. It's not a microwave thing. It's a slow roast. You're going to have to go ahead and put it in a crock pot. I think I heard somebody say, or you're going to have to put it in that roaster and let that thing cook slow. Okay. Because God see around the corner and God see over the hill. There was a picture that I remember seeing a while back because I don't want this video or podcast recording to go long. And there was a picture of God holding a little bear. It's a little girl and she's holding this bear. And I think I talk about it in the peace episode when I said, hold your peace. And she's holding a bear like, no, God, don't take this. And God is smiling at her. He got a big bear behind him. And what he's saying to her is, baby girl, give me that bear. And she like, nah, I'm a good steward. This my stuff. I don't want to purge it. Okay. He said, give it to me. But really what she can't see is what's behind him. And it's a big bear. It's something she really wants. But yeah, she holding on to something that's not meant for her anymore. That is a word for somebody, okay? I always try to find resources and references that coincide with what we talk about here on the podcast. And Miss Nedra Talwood, and she's been doing it for me lately. And she asked a question at Women Evolve 21, and the question was, what task or things do you need to release? One more time. What task or things do you need to release? I'm going to give you some homework. I want you to journal about that. I want you to think about that. What task or things do you need to release? Because I want you to recognize what they are. I want you to discern how you're going to do it. I want you to pivot and go into those spaces and places to do the work so then you can get into your transformation, which ultimately becomes your evolution. That's why my word for this year is evolve, okay? I want you to recognize them, discern them, pivot and do the work for them, and then evolve into your best self. I want you to set boundaries with yourself first. That's even at work. because I had to start looking at how I function at work. The boundaries start within you. What you are going to accept and what you're not going to accept. What feels okay and what doesn't feel okay. What leaves you depleted and what leaves you refilled. That's the capacity to hold. And sometimes we do that at work and we have to set work boundaries, but we need to do that within the confines of our job description. So don't be trying to set boundaries when that's your job. You're supposed to be doing that because, people be out there. It's always extremes, right? You can have extreme to the left or extreme to the right. You want to try to stay in the middle and stay neutral. So when I say boundaries, you set things that's going to keep you refilled, but don't take it all the way to the extreme. Okay. And then I talk about decreasing the superwoman syndrome. I want you to change your mindset, change the queen tribe. Like I said, you might have to let people go. Sometimes it was a season folk, okay, instead of a lifetime folk. And that's when I talk about with the tree, leaves, branches, and roots. Understand each one has a role. And sometimes people are just there to build you up. They are them seasoned people to help you get to that level or to help you with that task you're trying to accomplish. And so don't be upset. Jesus had 12 disciples, but he took 3. Okay. And I talk about that because I want people to understand it takes a few. And one thing I'm learning as this podcast and as Intentional Queen Journey has evolved is I speak to the one, meaning one person. And who knows who that one person going to tell, who that one person going to tell, or who going to tell that. And sometimes when you're speaking to the one person, like I'm speaking life into men, but they may not even be the person that this podcast is for. They got women in their life that need that word. So don't be afraid to speak to the one, no matter who it is, because they might know a person that needs you. Because then you become the seasoned folk to them to help them get the evolution in the things so they become the best versions of themselves. That's a whole word for somebody. So don't ever stop your gift. You could be the one person that speaks life into people and didn't even know because you were just speaking to the one. Start changing your verbiage on how you talk to yourself. I hear a dog barking, but we gonna keep going, okay? So forgive the dog, okay? Change your thoughts. Talk to yourself nicer, okay? Say to yourself, I want to do this versus I need to do this. It's nothing like speaking to yourself in a way of I want to work out versus I need to work out. It's a negative connotation. Remember, you had to go through it. It's all about your growth mindset and shifting. Positive self-talk is like honey versus vinegar, right? You want to do it more because it sounds nicer to you. It's all about your subconscious mind. And I talked about that and as an intentional queen think of and also talking about mindset shifting about it's what you sow into your mind. James Allen has a good book, As a Man Think Of. That's on my book list at intentionalqueenjourney.com. I made a whole blog page of a lot of these books I discuss with the Amazon link so you can go get it for yourself. And he talks about it's all about the positive seeds you should sow in your mind, and that calmness is mastery. And when you can change and morph and tell yourself positive things, because thoughts lead to feelings, okay? And so if you control your thoughts, then how you feel about it can change. So if I say I want to do something, that's a positive thing. Okay. So then my feelings about it would be like, okay, well, maybe I want to do it versus a negative connotation. So that can come up for you in certain feelings of guilt, fear, worry, or anxiety. Think about the thoughts that you're having about that so you can get to the root of the problem and we can tend to it. That's some other things that I coach women on too. So if that's something for you, I'm your girl. Consistency is key. Know your why and invest in your legacy. I said that last time, but this is just key. Invest in you. Bet on yourself. Go on and get that course. Go on and do what needs to be done. Go ahead and start that business. And ultimately, I just want to thank you. As always, hold your capacity. Know when to purge. And let's get it going for 2022. We're going to start this thing off right. I want you to level up your intentional queen to a better you. And as always, guys, I see you in 2 weeks. And bye-bye.